you okay?
I am now, Superman.
Alright, what is going on guys? It's Tazz here and welcome back to the channel. My Adventures with Superman, a brand new animated series airing over on Adult Swim, and Max started off super strong with an incredible two-part premiere. Titled Adventures of a Normal Man Parts 1 and 2, this new Superman animated series certainly is anything but normal. From a simplistic yet distinct anime-inspired animation style to a fresh but classic take on the origins of one of DC's most iconic heroes, with just the opening scene of the premiere, I was instantly mesmerized. This is not your typical Superman animated series, and it unapologetically distinguishes itself from the pack, establishing a slightly different status quo to the DC universe we are jumping into right from the beginning. And while taking a different approach to such a tried and true character, this series still exudes that perfect blend of hopeful Superman energy with the right splash of camp to balance it all out. I had such a blast with the two-part premiere, and the momentum carried on incredibly into episode 3. Highly recommend going and giving it a watch for yourselves and really taking the time to invest in this brand new series. As always, spoilers for My Adventures with Superman. The first episode is free on YouTube if you haven't seen it yet, but with that said, let's leap right into this review. As with most premieres, the first two episodes really take their time in establishing this new world and where Clark is in his career as Superman. Both episodes start off with flashbacks to his childhood in Smallville, instantly making that wonderful connection to Clark's human side, while also still working out what his Kryptonian side truly is. In present day, Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen are roommates and just starting out as interns at the Daily Planet. I loved the dynamic between both Clark and Jimmy here. The fact that Clark is a bit of a goof as he tries his best to hide his powers and be normal is contrasted so well by Jimmy's enthusiasm for the spectacular and unexplained. We are also very quickly introduced to Lois Lane, who is much earlier in her career than we are used to. She is also an intern at the Planet, trying to get her big break in reporting. This opens the door to Perry White, and he's just great here. At first, he's someone that is very by the books, implementing some tough love for his interns. However, once he is presented with the Superman scoop, Mr. White does seem to warm up to our lovable cast. Clark, Lois, and Jimmy very quickly become friends as Lois drags them into the middle of an investigation, which eventually leads them to the villain for this little arc, that being Livewire. I loved seeing Clark's very rudimentary understanding of his powers in the first episode, using them as almost a defense mechanism trying to save his friends. While in the second part of this premiere, Clark was able to unlock more of his power back at the crash site in Smallville after meeting with Jor-El. I know there have been a lot of criticisms about Clark's initial power level, but that is all put to rest once we realize it all comes down to the fact that he was afraid of who he truly was. But once Clark was able to fully embrace his Kryptonian heritage, that is when he truly became Superman. The whole sequence of Clark fully powering up and acquiring the suit was amazing, and I loved the little touch from Ma Kent adding the classic belt and trunks, completing the new Superman look. Fully powered and suited up, Clark heads back to Metropolis, where he once again saves Lois and Jimmy from Livewire as she was wreaking havoc in her fight against Slade Wilson. And I loved the little touch at the end of the fight, having Clark actually clean up the destruction before flying off. Early on, Lois is very much so driven to learn more about this mysterious flying man she has deemed Superman, while Jimmy is just happy to take pictures of something impossible and get to 5 followers online. Once again, this dynamic is perfect here right from the get-go, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time before Clark has to tell his friends what is truly going on. And as always, they are planting the early seeds of the classic Clark and Lois relationship, which has played out really nicely so far. All of Lois and Clark's interactions have been very cute, and they've even added in your standard anime face blushing technique. Wrapping things up, our big bad setup comes with Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, as he has captured Livewire for interrogation under the supervision of none other than Amanda Waller. So it seems like Argus and possibly even Task Force X, maybe led by Slade, will end up being one of the show's main antagonists, which I'm very excited for. Briefly covering the 3rd episode, we continue to flesh out the characters and do a ton of world building in Metropolis as Clark adjusts to his new double life as Superman. Lois, of course, is still doing whatever it takes to get the scoop and will stop at nothing for her interview with Superman himself. Clark also continues to develop new powers as he becomes further in tune with his Kryptonian origins, all the while continuing to plant the seeds for the underlying nefarious plot, this time introducing Intergang once again, leading back to Slade Wilson, Amanda Waller, and Argus. Overall, guys, My Adventures with Superman is a breath of fresh air for DCTV, especially now after all of the recent cancellations and series wrap-ups we've sadly had to endure. The creatives behind the scenes really seem to love the character of Superman and want to do that classic iteration of the character justice in a new medium. There is a very uniquely stylized approach taken here, which I thoroughly enjoyed, down to even the end credits of Jimmy Olsen just walking across the screen as we get a scrapbook-style collage of images he's taken from throughout the episode. The anime-inspired animation is beautiful, the voice cast is incredible, and the characters are instantly lovable while perfectly encapsulating a Superman that stands for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. And while the show is less of an introspective character study, it more so just leans into a fun year one exploration of Superman and his friends at the Daily Planet. I just cannot wait for more from this series. A 2nd season has also already been ordered, so I will definitely be tuning in week to week to see what kind of adventures Clark, Lois, and Jimmy get up to in the early days of Superman's career. But with that said, guys, what did you think of the premiere for My Adventures with Superman? Which character has been your favorite so far, and what are you looking forward to seeing the most from this series in the future? Just let me know your thoughts on all of this down there in the comments below. But until next time, guys, it's been Tazz, and I'll see you guys in the next video.